Welcome back to American Agenda. Bob Sellers here with Heather Childers. We continue our conversation now about mandatory vaccines that are going on at a number of colleges. But we're seeing that also other locations also.
Right.
You might have to have a proof of vaccine to go to a ball game. I mean, there are a lot of things going on. So let's bring our panel back in. And a couple folks didn't get a chance to talk. We didn't mean to do that at all to you. We appreciated having Amir here. And it's clear that there are a lot of legal issues, but also there are kind of moral issues, or I don't know what to call them, parental issues here, Derrick. I have kids that are in high school. I'm thinking chances are they're fine, but they're on a volleyball team and the coach is saying she wants everybody to get that vaccine. So there are lots of pressures going on.
Lots of pressures, and pressure came from my daughter. She wanted to go back to campus this semester right now. She's currently on campus. And so, and here's the thing, they're doing online learning while she's on campus. I was like, you could have stayed home and saved me a couple $1,000, okay?
Yeah,
but,
really.
So I'm saying that with that being said, a lot of these kids, they want to go back. They want to be around their friends. So again, I don't think it's going to be up to us as parents and what we think, because they want to get back to their friends. They want to get back to some sense of normalcy.
Yeah.
So they're going to take the vaccine a lot more. You know, they're going to take a lot.
They're more inclined. Yeah, it doesn't seem to bother my girls at all. Jesse, I have the memory of a gnat, so I'm sorry I didn't include you. That's my fault. But give me your thoughts about this, because parents are in a funny position right here.
Well, I think as long as it's under the emergency use authorization, then it's kind of a no-brainer. You're going to have difficulty in enforcing this just because, as the previous attorney said, it's going to defy federal laws. So let's get back to going to ball games, going to other activities. Now I'm very concerned because we're not showing other vaccinations for other communicable diseases, measles, mumps, various others. Why is it that? Because they're just as, if not more, contagious. So we should not be in a position where we're having to show a card to get into events. At some point, people who are nervous or scared of catching this virus have to make educated and well-informed decisions for their body. And if they want to get this vaccine, by all means, do it. The students going back to these universities overall are going to be probably split down the middle. Some will get it, some will not. But for the universities to enforce it, as long as it is not under the that it's under the emergency use authorization, defies logic. Until it's a mandatory vaccine to get into public schools, such as the other shot cards that we have to show, it doesn't seem like this could go very far with parents.
Interesting thing that happened, Heather, in Tennessee. We have a friend. My daughters have a friend whose mom is a doctor, and she is distributing the vaccine. She had, they expire, right, at a certain point. So she had 6 vaccines. She said, call your friends. I'm going to get rid of this by the end of the day. Tell them to come over. I'll give them the vaccine. Nobody took her up on it.
Oh, really? Wow. Yeah. Well, I mean, I know that it's been a serious problem getting appointments here in New York City. I had to deal with that myself. But then I think about all of the issues that they're having right now with the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, which people will say, was rushed through, and with the problems with the blood clots. So that's going to raise a lot of questions for people whether or not they should get a vaccine at this point. And they should have a right to have those questions, whether or not they want to choose to put that into their body. And I also go back to the privacy concerns. I shouldn't have to explain to someone whether or not I have had a vaccine and my reasonings for not having a vaccine.
Steve, let me ask you this. Did your kids, when you took them to school the first time, did they have to have certain vaccines? Because mine did, vaccinations, mine did. And I as a parent, you kind of cross your fingers and hope that everything goes okay.
Sure.
And how is this different? I'm not saying it isn't different.
No, it's an excellent question. Yeah, I'll tell you exactly how it's different, because they're getting vaccinated for things like measles, to which they are susceptible and to which they are vulnerable. That can be extremely damaging for them. So it makes sense to give them vaccines. Even there, by the way, there are exemptions, religious exemptions, for example. But those rules make a lot of sense. To force them to take a vaccine for a disease that is not deleterious to their health. And we know this statistically just does not make any sense. By the way, speaking of this isn't just Steve Cortez's opinion. Let's look at the United States Marine Corps. We know that there's been about 100,000 Marines who have been offered the vaccine. 40% of them have said no. Why? because they're making a very sensible decision. It's not because they're anti-science. What they're saying to themselves is they are, for the most part, the epitome of health.
Yeah.
They are young, they are vigorous, they are not vulnerable to dire effects of this virus, and they're saying, why would I then put an experimental drug into my body? The Marines are making the right call. Agree with me that we are not going to subject our children to that, and it is wrong for any schools to try to enforce it. Whether or not they can get away with it legally, let's put that aside for a moment. I'm talking about the ethics of this situation. It is absolutely wrong of these universities, of Rutgers, of Syracuse, Notre Dame, I think was one of the first to do it. I love fighting Irish football, but Notre Dame, you are dead wrong on this issue. You have no right to tell young people that they must take a vaccine, again, for a virus that is not a serious threat to them.
I got the vaccine, Jesse, but I did it because I want to be able to travel. I want to be able to go to games. I want to be able to. I think I had it a year ago, right? So I've never felt like I was threatened by it. But there are people out there who aren't going to, and I was curious about our gunnery sergeant, what she would think about this.
Well, I appreciate Steve bringing the point up about the Marines, because the average age of a United States Marine is 22 years old. The rate of death among those that do not suffer from obesity or pre-existing health conditions is very remote and rare. So yes, they made an educated decision. And when I was watching on Twitter how many people were going after the Corps suggesting that they need to be ordered to take the vaccine, and I saw a former Marine get out there and try to tell them such, a liberal, of course, and I said, no. You do what you have been taught to do, and that is to take a risk assessment in every decision you make with your life, a responsible decision. They're making life and death decisions sometimes every day in a combatant environment. They need to make the same risk assessment with their own health. So thank you, Steve, for doing a shout out to the United States Marine Corps, because yes, they're smart, they're quick, and they're healthy. And we don't have morbidly obese Marines. I'll tell you that right now.
And thank you for your service.
Yeah.
Well, they do.
I'm saying that to you specifically, Jesse Jane, and to everyone else who has served or is serving. Thank you so much. And folks, stand by. We've got more coming up on American Agenda, including what's been going on in Minnesota with the riots there. We have some new video we wanted to show you.